But what's also vital is the need to step off the treadmill for a beat or two every here and there. Let's call it a rush to silence. And let's agree to take a look at how we might dial down the heat and haste of our days. Much as we might think we need to fill every waking moment in a seemingly productive way to keep moving full speed ahead, all out, all the time, in truth, we all need to take a moment. My great friend Tom Barrett, a clinical psychologist, has lately devoted much of his practice to the therapeutic benefit of slowing down. In the leadership training he offers, he helps clients reclaim a measure of control in their high-speed, high-stakes, high-stress lives. One of the ways he does this is by reminding them of the need to hold fast to what he calls the T3 principle, time to think. Without exception, he tells me, when I talk to leaders around the world, I talk to them about this and get this involuntary flash of recognition. They all tell me it's so true. They need to learn to make that time to distinguish between what needs their attention and what demands their attention. One of the great metaphors Tom uses to explain the importance of mind management is to compare our bodies to a computer. Our brains are like our software, he says, and from time to time, we need to do virus scans on them. We need to update them. We need to understand the system that's running the entire operation. What this means for a lot of us is that we must make an extra effort to be alone with our thoughts. That can be hard. We should also find room in our days for friendships that have nothing to do with work, nothing to do with family, because these relationships offer us endless opportunities to unwind among like-minded souls. I know a great many people who are constantly moving and shaking to the point where they can't bring themselves to sit still long enough to reflect on how their days are going. They don't have time for friends, they barely have time for family, and to them the idea of sitting in silence with nothing but the random thoughts to fill the time is plainly terrifying. Believe me, I know what it's like to feel unsettled when there aren't a million things going on. But I've come to realize the enormous riches to be found in reflection and quietude. Because let's face it, we're happier, healthier, friendlier, and more creative when we slow down. It's tough for me to sit here and tell a single mother who gets up at 5 each morning to make breakfast, pack her kids' lunches, check their homework, and head out before the sun to punch the clock at the first of her 2 jobs that she ought to slow down. That's not the right message, is it? But what I can tell that single mom, and anyone else who's working so hard it feels like they're up against it, is that we can all find a point of pause in our days and steal a moment of quiet reflection. We all need time to think, right? To consider, to reconsider. Watch the grand masters play chess, and you'll see that every move is carefully measured. The pace of play is very slow. It's remarkable to watch, especially if you understand the game, because the precise move is not always so apparent. Every once in a while, they'll go on the clock, but for the most part, they take the time to think a couple moves ahead, to plan their strategy, to weigh every possible scenario before moving forward. I'm not suggesting we live our lives in this methodical way, anticipating every possible outcome and defending ourselves from every conceivable line of attack, but there's something to be said for patience and deliberation. Sure, every once in a while we've got no choice but to be on the clock and follow our instincts, but our baseline tactic should be to take our time, to move with care and caution, to think through where we're going and how we mean to get there. I'm trying to be better at this, but I haven't always practiced what I'm preaching here. For years, I was a guy trying to cram 27 hours into a day. Some days I wouldn't even stop to eat lunch. Some decisions I'd make with my gut instead of my head. But now that I've stepped away from public life, I'm making a conscious effort to make better choices with how I spend my time. One of the difficulties I had early on was learning to be a bit more disciplined in the invitations I accepted, the projects I took on. This was an adjustment. If an idea or initiative is interesting to me, or if I believe it's important, I'm inclined to want to throw in on it. But what I've learned is that this is not the best way to manage my time. I have to keep reminding myself of the safety instructions they give you on a plane before your flight takes off, when they tell you to take care of your own oxygen mask before